Welcome back. Today I have a great story from a student of mine that's going to confirm some things about the medulla. So let's get into it. So I've been saying for some time now, the medulla is extremely important. It's very, very important. It's something you don't want to skip over. And so there are certain lineages that are doing a complicated Kriya. They don't understand the division between the spine and the brain. So that's a marked division, isn't it? Of course, right? And you've got to understand that Kriya takes place here. And this part, that's something else. It's actually divided between the Bhagavad Gita and the Mahabharata. So the war of Kurukshetra is one for the yogi. And then the scaling of the mountain going into heaven takes place. Those are two separate processes. And in between those two places is the medulla. And that's why it's so important. And so I have this video called Kriya is medulla centric, meaning everything that we're doing inside of Kriya revolves around the processes that have to do in the medulla. So very, very important, right? You don't have to go too far to see that. And if you're doing a complicated Kriya which skips over the medulla in one way or another, if you skip forward or you skip forward then up and over, if you're doing a Kriya like that, this was a brilliant comment given to me very early on by a yogi who had gone through many lineages in India to investigate what they were doing. He said, if you skip over it, well, you've lost all of the benefit of it, haven't you? And he said that. I'm like, oh my God, that's absolutely brilliant. And it confirmed everything which I had been told through the Panchanan lineage, through Ashok Singh. And so recently, from one of my students, he has a friend who's spent a lot of time in the foothills in India with the Nath Yogis, and they call the medulla the Samadhi Chakra. And they also call it the breath center, which is something I've said many times. It's the breath center. The medulla regulates the pressure that's going on in the heart, and part of that is regulating the breath. And all of this information is taken from the two carotid sinuses. So that pressure gauge in the carotid sinuses relays to the medulla and begins to regulate the breath, which regulates the heart. So the medulla, according to the Nath Yogis, is the Samadhi center. And they say if you skip it, well, you skip out. You have to spend some time with it and silence it. And that's what leads to Samadhi. That's what leads to the heaven state. Do you see? That's why it's so important. So they say if you don't still it, then you cannot go into Samadhi. If you do not tranquilize the breath, like I teach on the 4th phase of breath training, if you don't tranquilize the breath using the medulla, then you will miss out on the Samadhi. So he told me that. It was a fantastic confirmation. I already knew that the medulla was 1000% important. Kriya is medulla centric, and the Nath Yogis just proved our point that the medulla is extremely important. And when you still the medulla, when you tranquilize the breath, and there are levels of tranquility, and at the end of that road, the breath pauses so long that it seems to disappear. That's extremely tranquil, isn't it? So once you tranquilize the breath, you are inching towards heaven. You are inching towards the union state of samadhi. Isn't that wonderful? And we just got the benefit of somebody else spending 14 years in the foothills of the Himalayan mountains learning from the Nath Yogis. Isn't that beautiful? So I hope that you love this. If you did, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see all of you